that was cool.
That was cool.
It was. Yes.
Very slick.
And Kevin looks like he has frozen again. So
I was paralyzed by how exciting the intro was. Welcome to Explain Yourself. Apparently, I have terrible Wi-Fi tonight and no way to fix it. So if I go away, you guys please speak amongst yourselves. And I apologize. I am Kevin, and with me again is my buddy Will Allred.
Hey, everyone.
This is the Explain Yourself Kickstarter Roundtable, and we are joined by Pat Shand and Travis Gibb. We're going to do a little quick elevator pitch on the projects that you are currently on Kickstarter with. Pat, can you tell me a little bit about your art book and 5th anniversary hardcover?
Yes, this is for my series Destiny New York. I took it to Kickstarter for the first time 5 years ago. Since then, we've done 5 volumes, 4 spin-offs, and now this hardcover art book. Normally, the series is a black and white fantasy drama, and now we're going to bring it in full color with artwork, prints, covers, and some short comics that are going to be printed for the first time.
Very cool. Travis, tell us about the newest series.
Yeah, Expired is a brand new series for Orange Cone Productions. We wrapped up Broke Down, so we had another one ready to go. So Expired is about a world that's kind of like Hawaii. So imagine just the 7 islands that are Hawaii, and the rest of the world is all water. So oxygen is very, very limited. So everybody at birth is given a bracelet or a band where they're allowed a certain amount of oxygen based on your class, political status, all those things. And, these group of adventurers want to change the world and kind of fight that system.
All right, beautiful. We're going to get into that a little bit more, but one of the things that we like to do is revisit creators who've already come and joined us. And we have a campaign that is ending in like 15 minutes. So we're going to go share Pipe Creepers. I'm going to share that page. Will, you want to talk about the Lovecraftian world we're about to visit?
That's right. So we've got Pipe Creepers is basically, well, first off, it's by Frank Martin, and I'm looking for the artist right now. It's Super Mario version. Well, if I can speak English tonight, it's Super Mario Brothers versus Cthulhu. So Frank Martin's the writer, and the artist, I'm looking for the artist's name right now.
He's good, whoever he is. J.C. Grand or Grandad.
Yes. And it looks like it is ending in it looks like it has 53 minutes to go. So Frank was on with us, I think, a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Fully funded, but great. If you're Lovecraftian, it's kind of a comedy. The cool thing he was saying is he cleans out like
he's a chimney
houses.
sweep.
Yeah, he's a chimney sweep. And he finds these crazy ass things in people's basements and houses. And this sort of came from that, just the weird shit he's seen in people's houses. Really cool. If you've got enough time, you've got an hour, please check it out. Frank was super cool. Yep. And nice enough to give us his time, so we wanted to make sure everybody knew you have about an hour to check that out. And I will share that campaign in the chat while we start talking a little bit more about the creators who are here with us tonight.
Well, can I say something about it? I'm one of the quotes there because I actually have read the book.
Oh, nice.
And this is, in my opinion, I read all Frank's work. This is the first time the art really, really encapsulates what Frank's trying to say, the creepiness. Because I've read Frank's scripts, I've read his comic, I've read this one, and it ends on such a powerful note. 2-parters is a new thing for him.
Tell us how it ends.
Yeah,
spoil it all.
They clean some pipes.
Okay, all right.
It's a whole thing. It's
Chris Elliott comes out. These
Yeah.
pipes are clean.
Fantastic. But no, it's really one of his best works. So I highly recommend it. If you've never tried out Frank Martin before, it really is a cut above his stuff. Not that I don't like his other work, but it's really, really good.
Hey, Joey.
Joey Galvez, we should have said, is the genius behind that opening video. I did nothing. Will did a little bit. He at least got to send his stuff in, and Joey sent that in. So Joey, thank you so much. That is not that it was too good for us, and you treat us too well, and you need to keep it up because we love it.
Absolutely.
Charlie Stickney is in the house. The Power Beards are out tonight. Yeah, only Will. Yeah,
I'm working on it a little bit.
All right.
It's been on.
It's like, Pat's stage 4, Travis is stage 3. I'm stage 1.5.
I'm stage 0.5. Yeah, I'm half stage.
Yeah, I've been lost in the woods for a while, dude.
Well, Pat, you talk. Let's talk Destiny New York. But let's talk about it as the full on. Where did the idea for the series come from? As I pull up your Kickstarter page.
I wanted to do a book that sort of examined the idea of what it's like to be a child star through a genre lens. The overall concept, it follows a girl who had a prophecy made about her when she was young, and she completes her destiny when she's just 13. So when we meet her, she's approaching her 30s, and she's trying to find out what her life is going to be like post-prophecy.
And she's still within the college construct of the prophecy, correct? I just started in volume 1 last week, so.
Yeah, early in the series, she's still in the school because one of the jokes of the series is that the school is not just a college or not just a high school. It is a kindergarten through graduate school where you have prophecy kids and adults of all ages going through it. And the graduate program is for students who have already completed their prophecy. So Logan has been a graduate in the graduate program from ages 13 to ages 28, and she has done nothing with her life, So we've caught up with her when she's, trying to make a move to change things.
And I did the catch up. You've done what, 4 to 5 volumes? How far are you into the series, and how far does it go?
Yeah, we've done 5 main volumes. 4 are published. 5 is kickstarted, funded to be being worked on right now. And so those are the main volumes, and we've done a short story volume, and including the short story volume, 4 spin-offs. The short story volume, Gangster as Barista, Sherry Gilbert Necromancer, and Smoke Weeds to the Future are all in this universe. And as how far it's gonna go, I have 2 numbers that are ideal to me. We're definitely gonna hit 9. That's for sure. My always ideal number was 11, but I'd be satisfied with 9. And if we get to the end and it feels right by the end of volume 8ish, then I'm going to wrap it up at 9.
Okay. And you do about 1 a year, or is it just kind of as it goes, it goes?
Yeah, I do 1 per year. As far as the spin-offs, those just come up when I want to, but at least 1 main volume per year. Like, for example, this art book doesn't count as like this year's campaign. Volume 5 was this year's campaign. So we'll do extra things like that, to keep the backers having something between volumes. But yeah, at least 1 per year. There was 1 year where we kind of were about to miss it, but I just can't miss it, dude. I want to make sure that it's a true ongoing where you can expect to see at least 1 Destiny New York book per year.
Cool. Ignacio says he's here to learn Kickstarter. Ignacio, any questions in the chat? We will give you truthful answers, or we will make stuff up if we don't know. So please, whatever you want to know, put it in.
Well, and Pat, I just have to say that I don't know which demon you sold your soul to, but you can find the artists, man. Just I am so jealous of your ability to find artists because they're all awesome.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's something our team does have pride in that. And I feel that, and I mean, the truth is that many people feel this way, but I specifically feel that I'm sort of an unofficial talent scout right now for Marvel, for DC,
Nice.
for Skybound. These companies, you as soon as I launch a campaign with an artist who has never done any work before, you see them next month. It's great. So I think that speaks to my eye, Shannon's eye, and the level of talent that the artists bring, because in the past I used to do a lot more testing and trying new artists, but these days we have these long-term established relationships with artists, and we try to work with them for as long as we can. Like we have had Erica Dierso on Prison Witch for a long time. Destiny New York has had multiple different artists, because what I think that some people who haven't read the book don't quite know is that each volume is like a long miniseries. Each volume is between 100 and 230 pages. So it's quite an ask to have artists do multiple volumes. But we've had Eliza Ramboli draw multiple volumes, and now she's off doing great stuff on her own, doing creator-owned stuff. And yeah, that's that compliment I take to heart, because I've always been a writer, and as far as seeing the talent in artists and seeing which artists would vibe right with me, that was something to hone over time. Because dude, looking back, when I was first trying to break in, I was putting together pitches, and I was hiring artists that I could do the shit, and that's probably at the time I was just so excited to see someone draw my work. And that was, the incentive. Have someone draw the work. Have someone bring the work into reality. And now it's just about having someone bring it into reality in the best way possible, not only for me, but also for them. Just finding that perfect fit between writer and artist.
Yeah, you were talking about compliments. You got a small, tiny compliment from Charlie Stickney. As good a comic gets on Kickstarter or the direct market, nothing better out there. So a small compliment from Charlie.
Tiny compliment.
Hey, Charlie, Charlie is someone, I've talked to him a lot before too, and I take that seriously from him, because and this is real. If you follow me on Twitter or Facebook, I give out compliments very sparingly. I complimented Charlie's White Ash and Walter Osley, Kevin Cuff, and Bob Francis, Metal Shark Bro.
Right.
The books are great.
And that was 2017, and you were done.
Yeah, that was like that's 2 or 3 years. Yeah. I love those books. And so I think the same of Charlie. I think that White Ash is an insanely good book. I think it is, it's in the direct market now too. It's the best on both fronts right now. I really genuinely enjoy White Ash. So Charlie, thank you for that. It's you and me, Papa. He's a good man. That's a good man right there.
So I have a question for you, Pat. So, I've been in this game for a little bit, and I remember seeing you 3 volumes ago and being like, wow, I really want to get it. I may have even backed it digitally, but it was so much to get involved. But now you've got the Black Mask, that I get monthly. So I subscribe to you on that. What would you say for someone who's looking at this campaign? They've got the Black Mask version. Yeah. What should they jump on the 5? Should they not? Should they just get the art book part of it? Well, what do you recommend?
I'd say there's the casual way, which I'm happy with people who just want to keep reading the Black Mask. That's great.
Right.
It's going to come out monthly, and we took a break between volume 1 and volume 2. And I was actually just on the phone with Matt Pizzolo, and I told him I didn't like that. I want to keep going monthly, even if we have to, have the trade for volume 1 come out into the middle of arc 2. So yeah, that's perfectly fine to just keep reading monthly. But I would say that if you love it in a way where you want to collect different things, it's definitely rewarding to get the Kickstarter too, because there's different artwork on the covers of other Black Mask issues, largely. The trade for the Black Mask has a different cover when it comes out in bookstores, and And yeah, I think it's just a different experience. Nothing about the content changes though, which is why I think too that say if you don't care about mixing media, say if you are okay with reading 5 single issues and then moving to the trade, that's fine if you want to jump off on the single issues and get volumes 2 through 5. That's a good idea too, and that I've seen a lot. People who have read the single issues who now want to invest in the ongoing series, or people who have, for example, just bought and read Cherry Gilbert Necromancer, enjoyed that, and now want to come and read the main series,
Right.
So yeah, I think that any way that you can get in, it's all the same content. I'm changing nothing. And that was a big deal to me for doing the Black Mask deal, is that I wanted, I wanted the same product to be given to people, even if it's in a different format. It was important to me to not have any changes, to not have someone have to tell me, oh, this part has to change,
Right.
So yeah, it's totally the same story. So any point that you want to jump off and over there, that works perfectly. Or if you want to just keep it going that way, yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's different than Charlie too, because I know Charlie has to make some changes because of page count for White Ash. Like it's a slightly different, but nothing crazy. But there's a different page sometimes, or different ending spot. So that's interesting.
That's really interesting to me too. The White Ash thing, because the incentive of that is, people who read the Kickstarter version now might get more pages, and that's
Right.
cool too. And dude, I sympathize, because one of the biggest issues with making Destiny in New York into single issues is that, when I wrote it, I pushed against the idea that every chapter has to be 22 pages.
Right.
And that's the format for a reason. And
Yeah.
now, like, artistically, I like that I did that. Well, but when we're figuring out how to fit this in an issue without having to charge the publisher and then my royalties eventually an extra $1,000.
Right.
Right.
That's, so there's Charlie does that for a reason, for sure. So that's that I definitely, I have to not think about it when I'm writing volume 5 and 6 and so on, but it's definitely in my head now for sure.
We got a really good question. Do you think Kickstarter is helping creators approach publishing in a more European way, with high quality auto-conclusive volumes at least once a year? It sounds like that's the way Destiny New York is conceived, at least, in that kind of the French one full volume a year.
Yeah, it feels I've had it compared to manga. I've had it compared to European graphic novels. And yeah, it's definitely not the American model. I think that it works as a single issue series, but it was conceived more the way that this comment is talking about, for sure. Yeah. And I think that less specifically the European model, and more it opens up the world for creators to do different things. It opens up the world for, say, webcomics to bring their work into the physical realm without having to have a publisher go, yes, and that's big. Some of the biggest comics that we see on the platform, they're webcomics that have built this audience for a long time, this grassroots audience. And in the past, they would have had to either submit to publishers who want to change this and that, or to go this expensive route to print themselves and just hope that people go to some random website and buy it. Now Kickstarter gives this platform where people are already there and looking for stuff, and it makes it easier to be different, I think.
I agree. I think it allows you to do whatever you want. Travis, you did all 4 issues of Broke Down and 4 Dead Bodies. You did each issue on its own, correct?
I did, but because I was Kickstarter, much like Pat, like I didn't care about page count. Like my intention was not to be repackaged as is, So in fact, I'm in a publishing, I'm talking to a publisher right now, and that's a problem. Like Pat said, like, all right, they want to break it down into issues. What do I have to remove, or what do I have to add, or what do I have to separate to do that? But it allows me to tell the story the way I want to tell it, because I can choose to make less money per issue if I want to, or charge more on Kickstarter, because Kickstarters are random. You look at one book, it's $20, one's 10, one's 15, one's 13, one's 17 with $80 shipping, whatever.
And we still take a loss on that $80 shipping.
Right, we still take a loss. Yeah, post office. I'm not even worried about shipping anymore. It's finding bags and boards right now.
Yeah, I ordered 1,000 to get here in December because I feel like I don't ever want to have this problem again. I don't have any right now, but in December I am going to be great. So Travis, let's get into Expired a little bit. Talk us through how this came about as I pull up the page.
Yeah, so Expired is a little different than the normal stuff. So Voodoo Nations and Broke Down and Four Dead Bodies were 100% mine. They're 100% my creation. They come from my head. I approach the artist every. This is a little different. Expired, a gentleman named by the name of Brent. He came up to me and he had a basic concept. He had the basic concept of the islands being separated. And he's like, I really want to write a comic. I really want to be part of this. So he gave me the concept and hired me as the writer. And as we started going through it, he really was like, I just kind of wanted to give you the idea and like invest in it. So he invested in the artist and paid for the art. And, he didn't want to be part of it. So he wanted to like approve things, but he was okay with it being an Orange Cone project and having me run the Kickstarter and doing all that stuff. So we're kind of doing it a different way and we're trying some neat things because of it. So this is the first 100% not 100% me, but I did come up with a lot of the plot. And as he said in the last podcast we're in, I did the heavy lifting, but
artwork is beautiful.
Yeah. Who's your artist on this?
So he's a guy out of Russia. His name is Danny. I'm trying to pronounce his last name because I've never said it out loud.
Danny Trejo.
Kernsky. So he was actually recommended by David Byrne. David, one of the things that David's really good at is finding artists, doing covers and stuff like that for Stake. He's really, really good. So I gave him my budget and he was like, pick this guy. So we picked that guy and it worked out really good. As you see, he has no credits. This is his first credited book. But he's amazing. He has a unique style. I mean, and he's really good at spacing, of how big things are. When you look at this double page spread there, beautiful, beautiful art, and a lot of detail into each of his characters, even the sub characters in the background. When you look at this, where characters are dying, they're not all drawn the same. He didn't cheat, and just copy and paste. Each of them are different, so he did some really, really cool stuff.
That's because you got him on his first project. He's going to learn. You got to cheat a little bit. You can't give your all on every panel. This is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a beautiful book, and it gets better. Like when he does action pages, he has a different style, but it's you can still tell it's him.
Okay, we're not going down to spoilers. Let's.
Well, yeah, the spoilers is blocked, so there's a spoiler.
Oh, gotcha.
One of the things that I'm doing that's unique about this campaign that I've never done before, that I'm not sure is going to work, because we're all Kickstarter guys, is I'm trying in Marvel and DC right now, and Image, they're doing secret covers. Have you seen these secret covers where you go and it's just slightly different? So let's take Will's the crossover division. Let's say they're reading a book. So they're reading the next one's vampires, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're reading Dracula, but on the cover it could be different. So it could be a different vampire book. It could be Twilight instead of Bram Stoker's. It could be whatever. So it's just a very slight change. It doesn't change the whole cover, just one little small aspect of it. So we're doing that, and it's a sharing incentive. So if I know that you shared it, you have a chance to get the secret cover. I'm going to put you in that pack. I'm only going to do a 10% of the print run of the cover A as a secret variant. We're going to see if it works. See if I get more shares out. I don't know if it'll work, but it's something I came up with. Hopefully it'll work.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I mean, that's something that I found that's really helped with the crossover division is, I think I did 3 covers for number 1, and then we did 5 with Jen St. Andre's cover being, the actual project image, because she did such an awesome job on it.
She's the best, dude.
But I mean, I don't know. I feel like 5 is about my limit of covers. I don't think I want to go past that, just because I don't know that I can keep up with that many covers. You know,
It gets to be a lot. It gets to be a lot.
fulfillment gets to be, yeah, kind of a lot. I know. And Kevin, I know you've done some alternate covers. Is that more for the Scout releases, or is that do you do some for the Kickstarter too?
For our Kickstarters, we usually I've gotten to doing a virgin variant on either a metal or a foil. But the Scout likes to have a web store variant, and they will sometimes like to have a variant that goes in the subscription box. So this we've got a book coming out next Wednesday, Tart Devils and Demagogues, and Fellhound, who is a Canadian artist who did Commander Rao, which is coming out, I believe I think you can order it right now from your comic shop, and it's an excellent one shot. Please order it. It is good adventure, great art, but there's a heart to that book that I did not expect to find in it. So I recommend it highly. She's a great artist. I just kind of reached out to her and said, hey, would you like to? And she said, sure. And I cannot wait for people to see, because she just did this very honest and truthful cover to the interior pages. It's not flashy. As a lot of alternate covers are flashy, and I love them, but this is just so pure to the story that I'm really excited for that one. But for our Kickstarters, I kind of take Ludo's cover and do a virgin variant of it, because, as you said, the fulfillment, I am not organized enough to handle that. I've got one regular one premium one, and that's what you get. So God bless you guys who can work with multiple artists and deliver them.
Yeah, the delivery is the hardest part for me. Yeah, it's I just finished Cherry Gilbert Necromancer, and when I was done, my entire body hurt for 3 full days. I was just messed up, dude. Yeah, it's a lot, you know. It's a physical thing, you know. Writers don't really get the whole you know, it's the same physical experience that artists do in comics. You know, artists go through carpal tunnel. They really physically craft a page. It's a much more physically demanding job. But now doing this fulfillment it's up there. It's up there. You know.
Yep. You got to have your digital scale. You got to have your packing tape. You got to have your boxes, bags, and boards, and then hopefully a nice pad to stand on and a surface that doesn't, break your back, right?
Well, and I don't know why, but the last 3 Kickstarters I've done, I keep forgetting to order one thing, and it's always something that's important, right? Especially since they've added the add-ons. So I'm always like, all right, let's do a magnet. So now I got a whole bunch of people who need a magnet. So I got to wait until I order from Sticker Mule, get it delivered, but I don't want to pay that extra shipping. I'll wait a week. And so then it comes and I'm like, all right, where are those packages? Because I prepackaged them to be smart and now I lost them. It's kind of a mess, and I do variant covers. I do at least 3 every campaign. So that gets crazy,
Yeah.
I've always found that if you print anything in China, you always hit the Chinese holidays, and it doesn't matter if you ordered it in January, March, June, September, or December, you still hit the Chinese holidays. And I haven't figured out how that happens, but there's always that 3-week break where they're like, oh no, they shut everything down, and you're like, oh, but because we started printing here, the only thing we do get made outside of the country now is our enamel pens. So that's the only thing that I'm kind of worried might be hit, because everything's been slowed down by the pandemic. If you've made anything in the last year, it's taken longer. So
it's been crazy. It's my biggest wait recently for me, the past 2 campaigns that I've shipped has been not shipping from overseas to here, but just getting out of the port once it is here. My books, Cherry Gilbert arrived in port, I think, in April and was released in June. It's just a nightmare.
It's crazy.
Travis and I are both Floridians, and we can drive over to Fort Myers and pick up our books, which is a godsend. It's a 2-hour drive over, 2-hour drive back, and save $100 and start packing them up that night. But you know, but then sometimes life happens, and
right. Well, and you know, and they always make it right. So I'm not talking bad, but like sometimes if a mistake happens, it's the worst. So like last time, my Voodoo Nations had the middle page reversed. So I did that whole drive, and then
that's a valuable variant, buddy. That's not a mistake. That is an investment.
That's investment. Well, see,
that's your secret cover right there.
I have sold a whole bunch of those mistakes, but 1,000 of those mistakes is really hard to make it rare. So you have to do a whole bunch
that's true.
Because I really have sold them, but I was like, you know what? Trying to sell 1,000 of them is really hard. But you know, so you make that drive and there's a mistake. So I can't even imagine if it was in a port from April to June, and then you open that box, Pat, and you're like, nope, this is the wrong cover.
Yeah, I mean, I have had a few of those personally where there was one where the printer didn't print the right amount of a variant cover. There was some mistakes you kind of just had to go with. Like I printed a couple thousand of Destiny New York Volume 4, and the entire series, you know, I like continuity between the presentation of the books, but Volumes 1, 2, and 3 were all gloss covers, and Volume 4 came as a matte cover, which I didn't order that way. And we had to just, you know, put the complaint in, but accept it because, you know, that's 2,000 matte books that took, you know, months and months and months to print. And weighs like tons, you know, and it's just
I had a Kickstarter variant that was just kind of a stretch goal, and they had printed like 200 and I needed 100, and that box got damaged in shipping. And I was going through at the end, my last like 9 people going through like the 30 books I had left, trying to find the ones that was bent a little, but I can get away with it, as opposed to the ones that were just destroyed. And it was, you know, that was painstaking, but I ended up delivering enough. So what is the coolest stretch goal from each of your campaigns?
Good question.
Mine is going to be a very rare variant because most of them got destroyed in shipping.
New unique story.
I haven't announced mine yet, but I know what it's going to be, so I'll just say it here.
Exclusive. We like this.
Yeah. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 5 rungs, and each rung hit, I'm going to reprint a page of the audience's choice from each volume in color, you know, because we do black and white. So I'm going to have the Destiny New York readership pick a page from Volume 1 for the first stretch goal, and we'll reprint that in color with commentary, and then so on for Volume 2, 3, 4, and 5.
And deliver them as a print or within the book?
No, they'll be in the actual book. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Cool.
Nice. Wouldn't that cost you more to have certain color pages just in the back? Because don't you have to do kind of all color?
Oh, the whole book is color.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a full color art book. So this is the one time where, you know, that series is going to be seen in color. You know, I don't plan to do this again. So yeah.
Cool. What about you, Travis? What's your coolest stretch goal?
So, I mean, I kind of try to have something cool every campaign. Like, I know that sounds lame, but like, I did for Broke Down and 4 Dead Bodies, I had a, air freshener. I was one of the first ones to do that. And that kind of just fit the theme, right? You know, car. And then I kept it car. The next one was a keychain, you know, and I kept a bumper sticker for number 3, you know.
Why did you make the air freshener smell like a dead body? That was, I think, it was on theme, but I thought it was a terrible choice.
You know, it's got to be what it's got to be. You know, if you don't want it. Luckily, you know, air fresheners you buy from these makers, they only smell for a week anyway, so you're fine.
That's true.
You gotta commit to the bit, Kevin. Come on. Right?
And then for Voodoo Nations, I've done these, the coasters, and it's a coaster set, so that's really cool. So, I try to have something cool every campaign. So, but I think the last campaign for Broke Down for Broke Down for the ending, we went back to print for issue 1 and I gave everybody a free copy. I did I did a second print of issue 1 and did a new cover and gave everyone a free copy, and it was really good that we've got to that point and we could do that for everybody.
That's really
awesome.
Cool. What about you, Will?
It's as far as the stretch goals, I don't know. I mean, I've been so lucky that I've been able to get the books printed pretty much the way I want. So some of the stretch goals are even including one of the things I really like to do, because of the completist in me, is make sure that as the campaign is going, that we're hitting those milestones, so that I include, if we have 5 covers, including each cover as a pinup in the book, so that you're getting all of the art. You maybe not getting the cover, but you're getting the art for the book. Even if you're not getting the book that has that cover on it, you're still getting that artwork, which that's just one of the things that I like to do. And of course, I had the little the minifigs in the first campaign, which I think are just cool as heck.
Yeah.
My something from what came from my brain was now in plastic. That's just cool, right?
I think I'm gonna cheat and grab my book and show it to you in a second. My favorite ones was adding the die cuts to some of the early books, and because one happened there were sharks were blood murderous sharks were part of one of the stories, and I had an idea about a cover that looked like a shark took a chomp out of it, and I asked the printer if we could do that, and they said we can try. And I said, that's good enough for me. So for 3 months, I was waiting for it to come from Taiwan, having no idea if it would work or not, but just knowing that the backers would appreciate the try if it was a disaster. But it came out good. I'm going to grab it real quick.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's done some pretty cool things with some of the Tart covers. I know we should definitely talk to him about the latest issue of Tart. I think he's trying to do. Have you guys have seen it? It's done kind of from 2 different perspectives. So you have Ludo doing kind of traditional Tart art, but then he's gotten really stylized and doing from a different perspective. So I know Kevin's working on potentially doing like you said, foil or something on half the cover of the latest issue of Tart.
I mean, that's what they're doing. I haven't seen it in reality yet. Hopefully sometime next week I'm going to either be able to drive over or they'll be done. They said sometime, middle of the month. So yeah, half foil, half something for the premium one. But yeah, this was sort of and also there was nudity on the cover, so I wanted to be able to cover it for a show, so I didn't have to hide the whole book. And it I think it came out really good, but you have to bag and board it upside down, because if you don't, you're really going to screw up the teeth. But
you know what? My teeth are messed up on my chart, and now I know why.
Yeah.
the next show we're at, I'll be able to give you a replacement. Have you had any stretch goal disasters? Because I had a huge mistake I did on my first one.
What was your mistake?
My mistake was, everybody gives prints as stretch goals. They're not that expensive. That's a great idea. All right, we're going to do this print. They said, what size? And I thought, well, a piece of paper is 8.5 by 11. So let's make these prints 8.5 by 11. And I had to buy every single piece of shipping equipment double, because I had made my print that far too big for all of my bags and boards, all of my envelopes and everything. So I added $300 to $400 to my shipping costs because of this free print that wasn't going to cost me too much money. So size of piece of paper is not a size of a comic book if you're out there thinking about stretch goals, guys.
Yeah, that's a valuable lesson for sure. I saw that too when I was, because before I was doing Kickstarters, I would back a bunch to see how the books came, and so often you would have the print much larger than the book and have the book sitting in this really messed up print, just like bended over the sides. So I've even gotten away from doing prints at all, and I've started to do them like a postcard style, and I'll just put it in the actual cover of the book, just to keep it safe. But the problem there is that, I'll pack them all first, but I do feel that sometimes I must forget some. So there are probably some books that arrive, postcard free that I'll probably have to, talk to and replace. But yeah.
Yeah, that's something that Kevin and I did, was the crossover print that we did between Tart and Crossover Division. That was like a 6x9, wasn't it?
Or 5x7. It was
5
smaller.
by 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those were easy. You just pop them in the back and go, and that was was awesome.
Definitely.
And no one has, and everybody seems to like that size. It doesn't. I've never had a complaint that it's too small. I've definitely had a complaint to myself that I had a print too big. So I'm tiny as always. It's not the size that matters, guys.
I had the same problem. I did the same thing in my first campaign. I printed two big prints, and they all came damaged or messed up because they didn't do it right. But the biggest one that I made a mistake, wasn't really a mistake. It's just I didn't know how to do it right. So I did glow in the dark covers, which are great, but they're super fragile. So you don't know that. So they can't take a lot of beating. So you've got to make sure they're super protected. So you've got to, so the early couple that I sent out, I just put it in I put a board in front of it, but I didn't bag it or anything. I just put a board in front of it and Gemini blocked it. And I thought that would be fine because I tape it up pretty good, but it was just rubbing on a board would cause it to go off. So I had to replace some, and that was kind of rough. And then I've left them in the car overnight, and in Florida heat, though you cannot tell that the glow in the dark is messed up, it did leak on the cover ahead of it. So you look at the back and there's like these white spots all over the place.
Oh, wow.
But I then have to, to make it sellable, is grabbing not a magical erase, like a putty, like old silly putty to get all the old bull out. So little things like that. It wasn't that I definitely do it again and do stuff, but just knowing how to properly take care of these rare glow in the dark covers for Cthulhu Days Oz.
And the time you put into that too.
Right. Well, and I was disappointed with it.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I've seen glow in the dark my whole life. I know that it's just a big glob and just looks good. But when I saw it, I was like, no, I want it to look like the cover. Like, I want it to look really. I know in every aspect of my mind that I am smarter than that. But still, when I looked at it, I was like, doesn't look like the really nice cover that I had.
Yeah. That's part of it. You just don't know. You have this idealized version of what's going to come. My biggest mistake, and this isn't a stretch goal, it was just rewards, is when I first did enamel pins, I did them so small.
Okay.
I just, I looked at the size and it was comparing it to different coins, and the coin I picked I thought was the perfect size, and it came. And it's like the pin that a toy would wear. It's so small.
Okay.
And, there were so few orders that it didn't impact me that much, but it was a learning experience for sure, where, when something is that small, even as small as a standard enamel pin, the amount of detail that you put, if it's hyper detailed, it's going to come out looking kind of messy the smaller it is, And that's the thing that hopefully people can learn before they see it. But I think in so many cases when you're making rewards for the first time, you really are going in blind because you do have that idealized version of what's going to come out. And so often the results bring you back to reality.
That's really good advice. And my advice to piggyback on it is literally ask the people producing it. Like, I have this idea. What do you think? Because I've been told on the enamel pens, like, no, that's too big for this. That's too small for this.
Yeah.
And my answer is always, okay, yeah, like that is what you do. Yeah. So I'm going to go with what you say. And then the pins come and they look gorgeous because they caught me trying to make a mistake,
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good. I think that was the hardest reality for my wife when we went, because we give so much stuff. Kevin, and you, Will, you both back my stuff. So I have like stickers. Like I try to give as many things because I am buying stuff from Sticker Mule literally once a week. All right, what's the $30 deal today? I'm getting those. That's critical. I'm getting this, so doing that. But when we did Cthulhu Invades Oz, trades are such a I was so scared with the pandemic of going overseas. It was slash a pandemic, and Trump had just passed a big tariff law across the border. So I was just like, all right, like I don't know if I'm going to get these back, and they're going to be like, all right, cool, you can have them, but it's $100,000. I was scared, so it's just like, I'll take it. Like it's going to cost me an extra $5 a book. I don't care. To like taking away those stretch goals because they're so beautiful and they mean so much. Like even the stuff like this, like I don't care for stickers, but I keep them around. I love this. I love running into people's stuff all the time and finding it around my house. Even if I don't really appreciate it. Like I don't care for these stickers, but I love finding it on my floor going, oh look, crossover edition. That's cool. I should put this somewhere. I'm gonna throw it around and throw it on the floor until I find it again.
That was something that was cool. For Crossover Edition 1, we did temporary tattoos. I did the same 3 stickers as temporary tattoos, which was kind of fun. I think I've got them around here somewhere. I didn't do them again this time because I did 5 covers. I'm at my limit. Okay.
Charlie's spending his evening flipping through Destiny New York, trying to see which page will look best in color.
Hey, thanks, Charlie.
He's got a good eye, so I'm sure he'll pick a good one.
Well, Connor on White Ash is a killer. I worked with Connor once on a cover of Gangster Ass Barista that I'm going to reprint in this art book, and gotta hit up Connor again for something too, because he's incredible. The whole White Ash team is just great.
Yeah, you had him on the page I saw. Is that the page you're talking about?
Yeah.
I'll find that. Yeah, Connor's special. He really is.
Yeah, while Kevin's looking for that, he did a variant cover for us for Crossover Division #1 that is just awesome of the Wicked Witch of the West.
There it is.
I have been blessed with so awesome covers for the series, but I don't have quite Pat's eye yet. I'm working on it. I don't have his eye yet.
Yeah, I mean, I worked as an editor for Zenoscope for a long time too, where I was looking for interior artists who I thought could deliver amazing stories. And so many of the artists that I worked with on my Space Between stuff are from there. And yeah, it's just over time you do develop an eye, and you might even go in with your own personal preferences, but I think that over time you sort of develop beyond what you like as a reader and start to just, have an eye for what is just flat out good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I find that's extremely hard for me, finding what's good, because I find what I like isn't necessarily always what's good. I like this art; it's good for me, but the mass retail isn't good. And then I listen to Donnie Cates interviews, and Donnie Cates is like, oh, this guy's in the Eric Larson wheelhouse. This guy's in the J. Scott Campbell wheelhouse. In the gym, you can tell by this line and this line. He can tell you that person's inspiration, on a chart. I was like, is there a class for that? I will pay for that class.
Well, do they sell that chart?
Right. I want that chart.
The guy you got from David Byrne looked like he was from the Moebius line. So I think you did okay.
Right. Because David picked my art. That's why. I actually I've stopped picking art. It's not because I don't it's just because I don't have an eye for it, because if it looks good enough for me, it's great. One of the biggest things for Broke Down is people didn't like the art, and I intentionally did it that way. I intentionally wanted it bright. I wanted it to be a bright semi-anime thing. I intentionally did that, but when I was shopping around to publishers, they're like, the story's great, you've got enough backers, you got the fan base, but that art doesn't sell well in American comics. It just doesn't. You like it, you've been able to build a fan base with it, but we want to sell as many copies as possible. It's just not going to work. And it was a reality check, but it's also a good reality check, right? To know where it is and where the problems are in your stuff, you know.
I think that goes back to what Ignacio asked about, what Kickstarter brings. Kickstarter brings you the freedom to do whatever the hell you want to do as a creator with your own book. And you're proud of, Broke Down, you did it. People read it. They liked it. If it's never in the direct market, who cares? If it is in the direct market, great. But you did it the way you wanted to do it. And I think that's what Kickstarter brings. I did miss one question Ignacio put in. What do backers tend to enjoy more, in your opinion? Stickers, prints, postcards, trading cards? I mean, every backer is different. I think that some people might want all of those things, and some people, when they open it, probably go right to the trash bin.
Oh yeah,
with it.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of a savage story. But I used to do about. It hurts to even say it because now I do the opposite. I used to do 20 prints per campaign.
Wow.
One day I was at the post office and I had gotten a bunch of Kickstarter books, and I opened each one and I went through them and I threw every print in the garbage, and I was just like, oh.
Light bulb moment, huh?
Yeah, people really don't care about prints at all. A print for me is this. A print is a way to create a get everything tier. If you have items that are not the book, you can create a premium get everything tier. That is the function of a print. Outside of that, no one cares about prints. It's just it's what we want to enrich the campaign with, because we love the art, we love to see it, but the truth is that so many of those do go in the garbage, and it's so harsh. But it's like my biggest advice that I do now is chill with the prints. The levels that do the best for me probably are book plates. It's an easy way to get a piece of art that is, I would never charge for a signature, but I would charge for a piece of art with my signature, So it's a way to get something that people, they see it and it's a no-brainer. They want a signed book, they like the art, boom, book plate. And that also adds to the get everything tier. And to cap all that off, I think that what people like, it is an affordable get everything tier. I used to do it back when I was doing the 20 prints, multiple pins, I would have a $200 get everything tier, and I would get 7 backers, and I'd go, wow, that's pretty cool. 7 people cared enough that they spent $200. And then I pull back and simplify the campaigns until my get everything tiers are like 60, 70 bucks. And I see, 20, 30, 40, 50, 70 people get that tier. It's like, oh, that, it's all things that you learn from experience. And the more you simplify and limit the items that you do, the more you'll see items like the print sell, because people will, not have to choose from 20 random prints. If they like one print, they'll get it. If they like one book plate, boom. A bookmark, not going to sell too well. Do it as a free thing, And a pin's fine. Pins, though, very expensive. They're very expensive, and I pick and choose which campaigns I'll do them. If it's a campaign where I feel like people will be invested not only in the concept but the characters, I'll do a pin. If it's a more, idea-driven campaign, less than a character-driven campaign, where it's going to be a one-and-done book, I'll probably not do a pin because they're just so expensive to make, and it's a bit difficult to get people to rock an enamel pin for a new title that they've just heard of,
Yeah. I do like one pin per campaign to build a set, so that in a campaign later, I'm just going to do the card that the 5 pins go on.
That's smart.
So I'm building it. But sorry, well, go ahead.
I'll be honest, I'm kind of definitely inspired by Kevin, but you guys as well. You're doing something that is crazy, in my opinion. I'm doing it too. We're serializing comics on Kickstarter. Not a single issue.
Right.
Your continuity. You've done you did broke down. That's 4 issues. Kevin's up to 13. 13 for Tart. You've done 5
mega volumes
of Destiny New York.
I get to say 13, and that'd be about probably volume 2 for Pat.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, did you guys, I'm going into it understanding how crazy it is, and bugging Kevin every 5 minutes for advice, but did you guys go into this realizing kind of just how crazy it is to try and serialize something on Kickstarter? Because you're doing it, you've done it, it's pretty awesome.
I don't want to sound like an asshole, but like the truth is kind of no. It always.
You sound kind of like an asshole, Pat.
Just because
I gotta go, guys. Pat's being an asshole.
I guess. All right, so the asshole part's coming.
Okay.
The truth is that I love Destiny New York and what the artists have done so much that my least successful campaign was Volume 1. That was the hardest to get funded. That was, it was not funding until the last day, and then we got one of those. And at the time, I didn't know that these existed. The final day surge, when people get that reminder, I didn't know about that. So on the last day, I was like, oh wow, we're still like 2,000 off. We're not gonna make it. And then all of a sudden, boom, we're 1,000 over. It's like, oh, okay. So the last day is like kind of like a proto first day. But my thought was that Volume 1 was always going to be the hardest to fund, but that when people met the characters, they would for sure want more, is my philosophy. That's been true for some series and not true for others. There were things that that I found out were crazy later on. I went in not knowing that they were crazy, like Clownsters. It's an all ages book that I do. So far, there's 2 books in the series. Now, at conventions, it is the #1 bestseller, because guess who's at conventions? Children. Who is not on Kickstarter also is children. So trying to fund a series of kids comics on Kickstarter, that was the crazy thing that I didn't know was crazy.
Right.
But yeah, I believe that people wanted. They wanted something that was ongoing and long and overarching, because what I loved about comics was, and what got me into comics was Why the Last Man and Preacher, these ongoing long-term, character-driven series. And those, with the exception of Saga, who is done by the guy who did Why the Last Man, Brian K. Vaughan, there's not many people doing that anymore. That isn't in the DM as much now as it was back then. So I personally felt a thirst for it, and my thought was, if I feel that, other people feel that too.
Cool.
Yeah. My thing is, ignorance and naivety have led to my success. Had no clue how hard it would be. Came up with an idea with Ludovic, who already had this stuff, and my template was Sandman, so a little older, but basically the same template. I was like, well, I gotta tell a publisher that I've got a 40 to 70 issue outline, so that's what we created before we did anything. And we're like, yeah, we'll just do 3 issues and we'll show it to publishers, and then we'll have a comic book. And so we did those 3 issues, and realized that everything had changed, and publishers want 3-issue to 5-issue miniseries that maybe they'll do a volume of every year, so you could have volume 2 and 3 and 4. And I said, that's not what we're doing. So I guess we're going to this new Kickstarter thing. And my buddy Juan from Creature Entertainment convinced me that a Kickstarter at the absolute worst is 1 month of free advertisement. That's the worst thing that can happen from a Kickstarter. For 1 month for free, a lot of people hear about the book. And I said, all right, let's do that. And we've just been going back to it ever since because it worked. We have a passionate group of readers that I don't want to let down. Because of that, we ended up, I ended up meeting James Haight with Scout. So now we're with Scout, and, and Charlie and I met before either of us were at Scout, and now we're Kickstarter and Scout buddies. And it's just like, if I would have known how hard it was, I think I would have stuck to writing short stories, and I wouldn't be here at night talking to 3 fun comic creators. So thank God I didn't know how hard it was.
Yeah. How about you, Travis?
Yeah, so for me, I knew, I'm kind of, even though like I grew up with the Y and all that stuff, I knew the trend that was switching to trades, right? So I was like, I know I need to build things in arcs. So let's build them in 4-issue arcs. So like Broke Down is a 12-issue maxi series, but let's do arc 1, Broke Down in 4 Dead Bodies. Let's do Broke Down and Tapped Out, which is the wrestling arc. Let's do Broke Down and Locked Up, where everybody's in prison. Like, let's kind of do it, but have a tagline that kind of tagged together. But I knew Serialized was important. One of the biggest things that I see that Kickstarters that struggle is they have, their issue 1's like $2,000. Oh, that's all I need to do it. And then issue 2 is like $7,000. I was like, why the big jump? Was it a lot more for art? And it's like, oh no, I have to reprint issue 1. Because they didn't believe in themselves and they printed 100 copies or whatever they needed for the Kickstarter to get a little profit, where I did the opposite. I was like, all right, 2,000. Like, I am here for the long haul. And I think it made me commit to the rest, right? I have to get rid of these issue 1s. Let's do issue 2 and then issue 3. And then it was mind-blowing when I'm doing Voodoo now and I have a margin of success with Broke Down, that Voodoo, like at issue 2, like I am done with issue 1s, and I printed a decent amount. I printed 1,500, and I'm sold out because I'm doing more conventions, I'm doing more cons. Stores are ordering copies of it to sell. So I'm like, oh, what does that look like? Do I have to push it even more? So I didn't think that serializing was the problem. It's just how to do it. And I knew that Kickstarter was a place where I could build a fan base, so I could go to an editor and go, it's not that I can pitch you a good story. It's that I come with this built-in fan base, and they will follow me, and I can prove it. Like, trust me,
Like Chuck's following you.
Like Chuck's following you, yeah.
yeah. I'm on time with this tonight because why not? Just do it. I love talking about this stuff. I'm very passionate about comics and creating these, and like this is what I want to do. Like, this isn't a hobby for me, and especially why I was really excited about this show. Like, you guys are not hobbyists. Like, this may be a hobby because of like we need a real job, but it's not. It's not because of our lack of wanting to do this.
Yeah, I told my wife this is not a hobby. This is a non-profit organization.
That's right. He's probably. I'll probably have him tell my wife that too. Next time we chat.
I mean, and the thing is, I don't want to say that not doing better than my wildest dreams. Really doing great. It's just, realizing how much work that Ludo, the artist on this series, does. Gotta figure out how to pay him for his time doing this book. And, the naivety when we started, he didn't want a paycheck. We were going to pitch to a publisher and be paid, which is hilarious to think about now. So we had the 3 issues that we finished, and we did issue 4 the same way, and we realized like this can't work because Ludo has to eat, pay rent, and he has to turn down high-paying illustrator jobs if he's in the middle of a comic, or if I'm not paying him, he needs to put Tart aside for 2 months, which I can't tell him no. If real money's coming in, I have to say, we'll figure it out. So it's all about the naivety and all about like trying to figure out how to make sure that the team is taken care of, and eventually I'll sell enough of number 1s that, you know, like this last campaign, I just paid myself back for a check that I put out in 2015. And I was so proud of myself that I paid off an entire year. Now I still have stuff from 2012, 13, and 14, but I didn't have a check big enough to erase that whole calendar year. So I picked 2015 so that I could erase a calendar year. So guys, don't get in this for the money. Get in because it's fun and worth it. But
yeah, and because you have a story that you're passionate about and you want to tell. I mean, I feel like that's kind of why we're all here, you know.
Definitely.
Well, one of the things that I didn't realize until recently, you know, I'm trying to know what I can say and what I can't, but so I'm just going to say it. I'm just not going to name names. But there's a publisher that wanted Broke Down, but they came back to me and they're like, well, we need to change a lot of it. Right? Can we get it to PG-13? Can we get it to all these things? And I remember a version of myself that would have done anything to get that publishing logo on my book.
Right.
But I thought about it for, you know, and I did it. I went through the issue and I did it. And then halfway through, I was just like, but I don't want a 13-year-old read this book. I didn't write this book for a 13-year-old.
Right.
In fact, I'm concerned about the 13-year-old reading this book, and we should actually address that issue as a nation. But that's not what like, if my book is the most enticing thing on this publisher's table, like, really, there's a bigger problem in society.
There's a big water gun fight at the quarry.
Right. Like, you know, clearly Grand Theft Auto is back and doing a big thing, and like, I'm not going to make it. But so I went back for this publishing company, and, you know, they agreed with me when I came back and said, all right, well, let's start a mature line to try to make it for you. But it's so crazy to think of someone who would never throw that. You know, if you talked to me when Kevin first met me, like, I would have done anything. All right, cool. What do I need to change? Like, do they need to be women? Do they need, like, what kind of changes do you need? Like, do you need new art? Like, I'll replace everybody. They're all good. It's fine. What do you need? So I could, like, then, you know, pay a publisher to, you know, give me a penny on the dollar for what I put in, right? and not saying the publishers are bad, just like there's a lot of work that you put in that it's really hard to recoup, as Kevin just pointed out. So yeah, it's funny, but I think that's a gift that I don't think you realize until your Kickstarter. I can do this my way and be comfortable with the money I'm investing and feel okay with that. And I don't need that next step. Like, if I never went to that step, there are tons of people who consider me a professional, who ask me for advice. You know, there's tons of people who are Marvel and DC who are actually my friends and private message me, and we talk about comics. So, I mean, like, what is making it beyond that? Like, because I don't have a logo on my book, you know?
You do have one. It's on a big orange cone.
It's an orange one. That's what I love about Expired. We have an orange character finally. It's just the most orange book that I could possibly put out.
Well, you know, you're kind of right in that at the height of Pablo and I had and the editors, we'd all worked together on this to basically make a pitch package, right, to show it around to publishers.
Right.
And the pandemic hit, and then Diamond decided to shut down the comics industry, and I was like, whoa. Well, you know, publishers shut down, Diamond shut down.
Yeah.
But Kickstarter didn't shut down. There were still people putting out books. I
was afraid to launch it. I thought it might be gauche. But then I saw that the campaigns that were on were doing great, and the creators that I talked to, and, you know, I talked to Charlie, who's been in the chat, and he's like, I think people are starving for entertainment.
That's 100% right.
I think you should as a service. And then I was like, well, the post office needs help, because at that point we didn't know if we were going to have a post office. Yeah, I was like, you know, I can actually. Kickstarter needed help. They laid off people because so many people stopped doing campaigns, and I thought, you know, I need help making the book, but it's not selfish to do a Kickstarter. It's actually less selfish to do a campaign now when people need it.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's very different now, the landscape of Kickstarter than it was, pre-pandy. The pandemic changed everything. I kind of think that the homie Keanu changed everything too. I think that things have been different on Kickstarter as far as how many people see books on the platform since then, and that's great. It's been very different launching campaigns halfway through last year through now than it was before. It's night and day. For me personally. But yeah, I do want to touch on what you said, Travis, too. It's there's the naivety of the young creator. It's such a powerful thing, and looking back, there are so many things that I wanted so badly to happen. Like you wanted that deal to happen, that you would change things about the book. I remember looking back, and one of my first gigs ever, I got a gig writing the Spike TV 1000 Ways to Die comic for Zenescope, and it was my first time ever working with Zenescope. And I was talking to the editor Ralph Tedesco, who, he's become my friend over years, but at the time he was, he was like my industry ticket in, and he hired me to write 3 stories and gave me a base rate. And then he wrote back saying, "Hey, Pat, do you mind doing 2 more stories?" And I wrote back asking if the rate would increase to blank so-and-so. And he didn't get back for 2 days. So I got scared. And I wrote back, if that's not okay, I would just do it for the original rate, those 2 stories for free. And he got back to me. He's like, "No, of course we're going to pay you." I was pissed, And looking back, I'm like, wow, I was so scared about not getting into the industry and offending someone that I was, scared to ask my due. And when it came down to it, it wasn't even like he didn't even think to say he was going to give it because it was so obvious to him that he would, because it's a job, And I think that I hope that more young creators hear things like this, right. Read posts from people on Kickstarter to see that there is, one, that there's another way, but 2, that every gig isn't the end all be all. There's this obsession with like picking every gig right, with meticulously building a brand over time. And I kind of just think like, just do work, build your career and take it in whatever direction you want. Make smart choices, listen to 4 fucking geniuses on YouTube and you'll be good.
Yeah.
So is Charlie replacing me anytime soon?
Yeah.
I was gonna say we're gonna find out what that URL is, and we're gonna put it in the chat.
Pat's been watching it the whole time.
This sort of came up on Twitter, and it's a completely different thing. But reach out to people who have already done it, so they can tell you all the things they screwed up.
Yeah.
The one thing the comics community does really well, and the crazy secret about Kickstarter is you have to show confidence and just the fact that your book is going to make it, your project is going to make it, and then when people see your confidence and they jump on, so you have to put this face up of just like, this book's going to make it, you should jump on before you miss it. And there's no doubts, there's no mistakes, there's none of these things that you can talk about. So I think a lot of people who haven't done a Kickstarter think these people have never made a mistake, they're ultra confident, and it's like, no, speak to us and ask us what mistakes we've made. In DMs and private messages, we will tell you the print thing, we'll tell you what we've done wrong, we'll tell you the truth is, we all, if you don't love your book, don't put it on Kickstarter. Yep. I guarantee all 4 of us love the books that we are putting on. We love our books. We know that we're passionate about them. I know that not everybody's going to love my book because I don't write it for everybody. Just like Travis didn't write Broke Down for a 13-year-old. You got it. You got your person. But that doesn't mean I haven't screwed up. I haven't made mistakes that cost me hundreds or thousands of dollars with each mistake. And I will tell you in private what they are so that you don't. So reach out to people, but don't reach out thinking that, the joke, 4 geniuses. Reach out to 4 people who have already screwed up so you don't have to.
Yes. And I think that it's important that when you do, because if you're going to kickstart something, and if you're going to kickstart multiple titles, you are at some point going to screw up, right? And it's important to learn to own that screw up. Because I mean, my biggest advice for people who do Kickstarter is just pull back and look at your mistakes and assess why they happened. Because the truth is, there are some creators where I'll go on Twitter, Facebook, and I'll see this constant blaming of other factors. Oh, my thing didn't happen because this book was on Kickstarter and it was by a celebrity. My book didn't happen because people made negative tweets about me. My book didn't happen because people like this, but my shit's really good and they don't see it. It's like, dude, how about one, hone your campaign into the best version of that campaign. Look at other campaigns that are like yours, see how they work, learn where you messed up. Like, for example, I messed up by doing 2 kids books. It was just not for Kickstarter. I could have funded it in a different way and had it still be the convention winner that it is now, but Kickstarter wasn't the right choice for me. I own that. I think it is detrimental to yourself as a creator to not realize that virtually every mistake that you can make on Kickstarter is your fault. Every interaction I have with an artist that doesn't go right, that doesn't go how I want it to go. Like, I mean, I'll never say who it is, but there's this one time where I was co-writing a short story with a writer I was very proud to be co-writing with, and I wanted to do right by them and hired one of our favorite artists collectively. The artist tested for one page, amazing page, and then changed styles for the page's post-test. So we have one beautiful page and 6 really bad pages. And
I think I might be able to guess.
Well, that stuff didn't even get published, but my lesson there is that, okay, pay for what you receive, right? Don't pay someone the full rate in advance. Pay in a way that makes sense. I was so desperate to show artists that I was going to do right by them that as soon as they signed on, there'll be money in their account. There'll be money before they had done any work. And some artists, some co-writers did right by me. Some ended up taking advantage, and pushing things off because I had already given them, what they wanted out of the exchange. So there are many things that you can learn as far as business practices and even just being a creator and choosing the right concepts. But my biggest advice is always, own your mistakes, because you'll make many. And if you blame your failures on other circumstances, you'll never learn why you made those mistakes and what made them mistakes to begin with.
Yeah. I like to say, go ahead, Joel.
For anybody that thinks that we don't make mistakes, I've got a bridge for you. I mean, it's just and learning from, I make no bones about this, but if it weren't for me, failing miserably my first Kickstarter, it was a soul-crushing experience, but it led me to where, it led me to Comics Launch, Tyler James, which was awesome, and then that got me into the network. It got me, so I met Kevin and all of these other creators, and Charlie and Kat and everyone. It's, at the time, it was definitely soul crushing, but it turned out that it was what I needed.
Yeah. Because
I made every mistake and probably some new ones hadn't been made before on that campaign, and I continue to make all kinds of new mistakes on every campaign. So yeah, there's so much more to a Kickstarter than what everybody sees is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more that goes on in the background of a Kickstarter, and so much more prep work, and so much more stuff that it's talk to us, please.
Yeah,
and if we can spare you any of our mistakes, we will.
And my advice is don't make the same mistake twice. Make new and interesting mistakes.
Hey, there you go. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, it is an hour and 20 in, and I told you I'd check in with you about an hour, but I know I've been having a blast. If you want to keep talking, or if you want to do one last dive into your campaigns and go to sleep, Will and I usually stay and talk after we stop recording for about 40 minutes because we are insane people. But I don't want to keep you up too late. Travis, you're like 4 hours into your talking tonight.
But Kevin, you and I have sat for hours after a convention of selling all day, after going out with me and my wife, and still rented for several hours. So I'm in the long haul.
Yeah. I was thinking about that today. It was down in SuperCon 2 years ago. 2 years ago? Before the pandemic.
2 years ago, yeah.
And my wife and kid had come down with me the first 2 days. So I had a hotel with a pull-out bed and a regular bed. So they were leaving. And I invited Travis because I knew he had to drive home. I said, you don't have to drive home tonight because you've been there all day. And I had no idea that his wife and 5-month-old?
Just born, fresh out of the vagina.
I mean, and I didn't realize who I was inviting. And he said, well, it's my wife and my newborn baby. And I said, well, thought about what I said, and the pull-out bed in this hotel was the devil. It was the worst thing I've ever slept on. And I went, I have no problem with your wife and child staying. That's fine. I'm sleeping in the regular bed. The pull-out is the worst thing you'll ever sleep on. So know that. But I'm not giving up the regular bed. And he went, okay, that seems fair. And then we had a great night. They slept on. He probably still has sores in his back from this thing. But it was a lovely evening. And I thank you for allowing me to be selfish to your poor wife who had just given birth. But I hadn't slept for 3 days.
Right after.
All right. So Ignatia, I'm sorry. I had that up. Did a comic recently and we funded it via Kickstarter. The editor wanted to pay me the whole book after the campaign ended. And I told him we should do increments because that gave me goals to work towards.
Yep.
If that's the thing that motivates you, that's perfectly fine. Yeah. I would say that in the comic industry, take whatever money someone's willing to pay you when they're willing to pay you.
Yes.
But there is no issue with if that helps you make the book, then absolutely do it.
Yeah. I mean, looking at that situation, I would give advice to the editor saying, don't do that shit. And I would give advice to Ignacio saying, no, you should have taken that up front. Because I mean, it's bad for the editor, but it's great for you because the truth is, and even with Kickstarter, I've had gigs. I've had some of my highest profile gigs have had the company fall out from under while it's being published. The book comes out, and instead of getting a payment, I get a letter from the liquidators saying that I have to go to Canada and put in for auction on a piece of the company because they're bankrupt. And if I fly up there, maybe I can get some money. But no, it's. The comics industry is so unstable, and there are so many factors that might work against that pocket of yours. So I'd say no matter what, if an editor is sorry to this editor, but foolish enough to do that, like I was, then dude, take that money, son.
Yeah. It came from a beautiful place in your heart.
Yeah.
You have the heart of an artist, and I respect it.
It's nice. It's nice.
It's if someone says I want to give you money, say yes.
Yeah.
Artists in comics don't get paid enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we as writers, we pay as much as we can, but it's not.
It's not enough in my estimation. But we're trying to get 3 volumes down the road too.
Trying to catch up with Pat. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I think when you're dealing separately, every deal is different. And as I've been known on the internet, I sometimes complain about past deals and have fights with people with past deals. These things happen.
Oh yeah, dude. That was very entertaining for me.
All day, every day. But the difference is, it's moving forward, and what are you doing? Because what happens is some bad deals get you stuck there. Listen to Pat's situation. That didn't stick him there. He got screwed over. He didn't get the money. It didn't stick there. I got screwed over. I'm still making other stuff. Yes, I'm stuck there as in like I'm fighting, but I'm still doing other things. It didn't stop me from making comics. But a lot of people are like, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do it. And a lot of people don't realize how little money you get from Kickstarter. You see this big number, but you don't factor in the percentage and then the shipping and then buying the boxes and all those things. The actual physical money at that end is very, very small. And a lot of it's just paying us back. Not really paying us back. It's paying for the next thing.
Exactly.
It's not paying us back at all.
No, and so because I'm always worried about not delivering. So I feel like the most important part of a Kickstarter is the book getting in somebody's hand. It's not being funded. It's getting in their hand, because if it doesn't get in your hand, you're never going to be funded again. So I pay out once we started putting the money in to pay Ludo, I pay out of pocket to get the art done. Right. And then I've got a certain amount of money here, and then I've got printing costs. Well, if I'm not funded, I don't get either of these. So my goals are the printing costs.
Yep.
And then I hope to get the art costs, and then the art costs for the next book. That's what I'm going for, because if it costs me $7,000 for art and printing, if I don't get the $3,000 for printing, I'm never getting the $4,000 for art or $5,000 for art, whatever it is. So, and for other people, that could be $28,000. It's all, and for someone else, it could be $800. It's these goals. Everybody's goals are different, and I'm not going to say nobody's getting rich on Kickstarter, because some people are very good business people who do know how to make a profit. But just know that the goal is not always the goal. But I don't think backers worry about that anymore. I think in the beginning, I heard that once you made your 100%, people wouldn't fund you because something else needed it more. But I don't think. Does anybody think that still is true or was ever true?
Probably not was ever. I think that backers aren't doing it out of charity, and I think that they're doing it to be part of something that they would have already wanted to read had it already existed.
Yeah.
It's this. I think that early on people really interpreted Kickstarter as charity, when really what it is, it's the Venn diagram overlap between Kickstarter between pre-orders and being part of the group, being part of the cool kids that made it happen. Yeah.
Kevin one time gave me a wonderful quote that I still remember to this day. It was in one of our happy hours. We were talking about some of the really successful business people on Kickstarter, and he said, "Well, Will, I'm sorry you hate money." because we were talking about different things that we could do, and and I remember that to this day. So thanks, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Well, I mean, there's, I always look at it. Think about how I could make money if I wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I just print what I need and ship it out, there's a decent amount of profit there. If my goal is literally only to satisfy those backers who back my campaign.
No, I mean, if your goal is money, go get a second job that isn't comics.
Yeah.
go bartend on the weekends. If that's your, I mean, yes, and I don't hate money. I would like to make it, but yeah, like hourly wage. This is not the hourly wage. It's not the easiest way to make an hourly wage. Let's put it that way.
It's more like a negative hourly wage, isn't it?
It can be.
It'll work pretty much. Yeah. I mean, yeah. There are. I think that there's a path for people who want to just do this and not have a side job, but it's a narrow path for those who want to do this and not have a side hustle. The side hustle, like for example, I do a lot of ghostwriting, and that helps pay the bills in major ways. I'll flip things on eBay, and I think that people will hear things like, oh, do you just do this? And it's like they're asking if you have a day job, and even if the answer is no, very rarely do you just do this. It's it's hard out here, dude.
But it's also worth it. Like I want to be truthful in it. And that is what you just said is so truthful. And then also, our buddy Rob Multari, who does Nightwolf, he got something he put up on Twitter. So I'm not talking out of school. I'm going to paraphrase it. It's a woman that met him at a convention and bought the hardcover, and she bought it for her grandson who suffers from Tourette syndrome and is just kind of has a tough time in school and doesn't like reading. And she gave it to him, and he read the entire thing, asked if there were more, and told his grandmother that it was like one of his favorite things she'd ever given him.
That's awesome.
And like Rob was, floating on air, as he should be, because when that happens, it's like, I don't really care that I haven't made money on this book. That's special. And
beautiful.
Yeah. And I think we've all probably had something in that vein, maybe not as specific as that, but yeah, every once in a while you get that message, and it's just like, this book touched me because of, whatever, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Well, and also, just to not, I guess, to be a little selfish, there's nothing like holding that printed copy in your hands. I mean, that's this came out of my brain, and it's real now. It's this thing. It's so awesome a feeling, that
and 100 to 500 people made it real.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
It's true. That's, there's, when you make your art your business, there are things that start out so exciting that over time it becomes part of the job. It becomes part of, you get used to it, and that's kind of sad. What you kind of don't get used to, though, is the actual physical arrival of the book. Mm-hmm. Even seeing people draw my work, and I hate to say this, but it's true. When new artwork comes in, part of me still has the excitement, but the other part is, oh fuck, now I have to talk to editorial and like figure out like the notes here and like what's gonna be good. And it's just like, there is the business side, but that's over when the book comes. When the book comes, it's great. It's just the best. What I want to ask you guys though is this has been kind of on my mind recently. Kevin, I think it was you who brought up the idea that, the greatest fear is to not deliver, because then you'll have one of those campaigns where you have 76 comments and then, oh, where's the book, dude? What's going on here? No updates in 7 months. And it's just that I find myself so unable to, let how can I phrase this? There's such a weird situation with us who are Kickstarter creators that the reader and the customer have such an uncomfortable overlap where I feel more obliged to my readers that have a question, that have a problem, even if it's part of the artwork or part of my story. They have, questions about my intention about something. I feel that, dude, I dropped fucking everything. I got this comment, this personal message yesterday asking about my intentions behind a variant cover from earlier this year, and I was just eating Panera, uh, you know, and just getting down on some chicken, and I saw this message come in, and I dropped everything. No more chicken. I wrote this email, this in-depth, essay explaining my intentions to someone who had backed me, and I would do it again. But there's such this weird divide where I should say I have a hard time, letting a customer slash reader for even a second be unsatisfied. I feel like I'm on call 24/7 to make sure everyone's happy. And with every campaign, everyone becomes a much larger whole. Dude, yeah. So do you guys feel the same way? Do you experience that kind of shit?
I mean, Pat, you saw me the other day get in a fight with somebody literally because of that shit. Like, literally because of that shit. Like,
Yeah.
I got to get back on Facebook more.
Yeah.
There's a book. Kevin knows the book. And it's I'll say it out loud. Kevin's even put it in one of his email blasts. Dog days that not delivered, and it wasn't my fault. But I've worked and done everything I could to those fans being upset with me, even if they don't care or have moved on. I care, and I don't care about like any of my other success, because that. Like, no, I do care about my other success. That's not a great statement, but that is overpowering to me, and sometimes it gets to me. And him and I go at it, and it's not that he's not even trying to like make it right. It's that it's not right now. Like, and there's so many variables in comics that he can't just make it right. Like, all right, it's lettered. Okay, cool. But was it edited properly? Because it was just thrown together and there's no money for editing. Who do I got for editing? Like I'm trying to do all these lists of things to make sure it is the best book. Hence why I've offered him thousands of dollars. I offered him $6,000, more than the campaign, to buy it from him. Like, literally, I will give you all the money back, like all of it. Let me take care of it, and know that I'm going to fulfill too, because that's who I am. Because of stuff. So it absolutely consumes me in every aspect of making sure that I do right by people. Like, that is the most important thing to me. Everybody who has an experience with me, like, when I did Cthulhu Invades Oz, making sure everybody got the money that I promised them, or the books that they sell, what that looks like. Because I know so many people. In fact, I just got a payment the other day for an anthology I was with, and I got 4 messages. Did you see how little it was? I thought it was going to be this. I thought it was going to be this. I don't want that. Like, I want people to go, hey, he values me. He made sure I was taken care of. He did everything in my power. I don't want that press out. So yeah, absolutely. I would drop everything. I will go to war on Facebook and maybe lose a backer or two, because because it's so passionate to me that we need to do right by these people the best we can. And if we can't do right, I've seen people who've done wrong, but they've been honest and they've kept working at it until they could do it. And I've seen them succeed in buco bucks after the fact. Doing wrong, like, that's the greatest thing about Kickstarter with this new like initiative where they actually say, hey, you may not get this. Like, you can actually have this conversation with your people. Hey, I didn't know printing was $5,000. I didn't know that. I can't do this. Well, can I cut pages? Can I do that? I think a Kickstarter allows you to grow with it. Yeah. But you've got to be willing to have those conversations like we discussed earlier. Sorry, I ranted there.
No, but
no. It's
being clear. Being clear is so important.
Yeah.
I'm very, very similar, Pat. if I've missed like this is in the sausage, but I reached out to Pat if he'd come on, and he said sure, and I didn't see the message, so I ignored him for 2 days. So sorry, buddy. Glad you asked again today.
No, dude, it's that specifically wasn't your fault, because the fact is that, and listen, I love Kickstarter as a platform. Their message system is very flawed, right? Like, dude, I received your message as an email, and it was threaded with other people emailing me that whole like day one bullshit. Oh, if you sign up for this, you can blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're in there, and I mistakenly deleted the whole conversation after I replied. And today I was just looking for the email, and I was like, okay, I know that for a fact that he said Charlie's name, so I'll search Charlie and see what comes up, And I ended up going to the Kickstarter messages there and finding you again. But yeah,
well, that makes sense. I did put it up day one. That if you've never run a campaign, the first day, whether you have 3 backers or 6,000, you get 19 messages from people telling you that you have a wonderful campaign, but it's just not getting the energy you need. And if you pay them money, they'll get it to you. And every single one of them is a scammer. So yes, it's better to ignore a bunch of well-meaning messages than engage with any of them.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's like, I do wonder who says yes that so many exist. It must be the same people who give money to the Nigerian prince, because I mean, how can you be a human being on the planet Earth and receive 17 of those on day one and not go, yeah, I wonder if this is real?
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
There was that, was it Kick Boost? There was something that was around for about 8 months where you could do a URL and people could get like 5%, 10%, whatever you gave them for boosting your campaign. And this was Tyler James' idea that I stole. He just said, I answer every one of them back. Absolutely. I'm on this website. You sign up, you'll get 10% of every backer you bring me. And he said, do this. You will never hear from them again. I did it for 3 campaigns. Never once did they say they can get you 500 backers, and they'll never go to Kick Booster or whatever that website was.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you mentioned Kick Booster. My head immediately went to Kick Track. Don't ever go to Kick Track.
Always go to Kick Track.
I'm addicted to Kick Track. I'm on it right now.
Kick Track on day one is the most beautiful thing on the internet, as long as you know how horseshit it is, because its algorithm is so great. About 2 weeks in, it can tell you about where you're going to end, but day one, it just has no idea about the dead zone. So you'll get like 100 backers and $3,000, and it'll be like, you're going to end with 84 grand.
Yeah, it's like, hey, guess what? You're a millionaire.
So I always take a picture and I start buying shit in my mind, but I know it's not going to be real, but it's so much fun.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
Well, I like Kick Tracker. I like seeing it compared to other campaigns and what other people are, how many backers are getting per day, and like looking at that numbers. Like I actually do use it as and then when someone gets a crazy boost, I'm like, where did that come from? Oh, somebody put money in that campaign, a big, large amount. And that's okay. Like, I'm not even mad at someone who self-funds. If you want to invest in yourself, go do it. If you want to take 10% of the money, or like you have a credit card that's not going to go through and you can do it on less, good for you. But it's crazy, like watching those numbers and trying to figure it out. But I learned, if you don't know, for people who don't use BackerKit, you could upload all your stuff into BackerKit for free and give you a whole bunch of statistics, which is really cool.
Okay. Joey, I think it's just that this is through the messages, and anyone in the world can send you a message during a Kickstarter to find out anything they want to find out, whether they're a backer or not. I just don't think they have the manpower to go through that, and I don't expect them to. It's just, if you're a creator, buyer beware. Don't.
Yeah, it's true. I would much rather them focus on other stuff than that. Like, I would love it if they could fix it where if you're writing an update and you make something bold, that the next word is also bold. Because, dude, they're the whole like blog platform that they have is real bad. How do you guys feel about this new thing where I think it's been in the past few months where their reward, the way that you check off rewards has changed. It used to be if it's done, you can put a check. Now it's shipped, delayed, in progress, and you have to go to each one individually. Me personally hate it, but I want to know how you guys feel.
Not 2 snaps in a circle. Definitely hate it.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel better, Pat, I had a meeting that they paid me to be at, and I told them directly how bad it was. Clearly, it did nothing. like before it was launched, they're like, "Do you think you would use this?" I was like, "No, this is horrible. Why would I? This is not useful at all. Like, you don't understand the variables of our campaigns. Like, because let's say we're using that, and it's tier 2. It's one cover. Well, half of those are U.S., half of them are like international. Well, you may have shipped out the U.S. and not the international. You can't, and it's all or nothing. Like it's not. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it sucks. And dude, what I hate about it so much now too is how it does it in pages. In the past, you could load your entire list of backers in one web page.
Yeah.
And you could sort it by checked off, so you could see an entire list of who has the book and who doesn't. Great. Now it's just every tier is broken into multiple pages. It's really a nightmare. And I dealt with it for one campaign, and I'm gonna write to them again because it's, it isn't just comic book creators on Kickstarter. There's probably people giving them separate advice that like this,
right?
But not your boy.
It is clunky at best. I mean, horrible, at best, it is clunky. I know Clay Adams was going through it, and he had done half of his fulfillment when they changed.
Oh no!
And
dude.
So he had clicked 6. I don't remember. Like, say, he had 200 backers, and he had fulfilled like 100. And that was no longer he didn't know who he had fulfilled. He had to go back to his shipping software and research by name. So, I mean, being in the middle of it, it was and it was his campaign, Nightmare Theater, I believe. So that was a nightmare for Nightmare Theater.
That is a nightmare. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Joey had
a cool book.
Yeah, Joey had a really good question. I know most creators are working with a budget, but do you ever consider outside promotion, such as purchasing ads on social media and podcasts? I know a lot of people do Facebook ads. I do them sometimes. I don't personally. I'm not good enough to trust them. Yes, everyone starting next week on pays to be on this podcast. Pat and Travis. You're grandfathered in. It is $150 a guest spot from now here on out. I mean, I'm putting that out there. We're seeing what happens. What do you guys pay for outside promotion?
Nah. I mean, it'll be funny. Like, podcasts always have the same ads. They have like, Hello Fresh. If you're listening to a more
used to be mattresses
podcast, they have Blue Chew action going.
Audible.
Audible. Yeah, it'll be hilarious if you see like the Blue Chew dick pills, Audible, MeUndies, and then Pat Shan's new Kickstarter. It's like those are all major corporations that do that. Yeah, unfortunately, no. Because if it was a podcast that I could afford an ad on, it's not going to be, a listened to enough podcasts to reward me back on that ad. You really have to be a major corporation dealing with a major podcast for that to do anything as far as an ad goes. As far as appearing on podcasts like this, I think it helps, and I've never been asked to pay, that'd be funny though. If someone's like, "Hey, you can come on my podcast for like, $10, $12."
So there is one that I pay for. There is a podcast that I pay for, but it's a Michael Watson's podcast, and he does art for your character as he's doing. So you're basically paying for that piece.
Oh,
So
that's pretty cool.
No, that sounds fine.
Yeah. And it's reasonable. Like it's like $20 for like just the black and white, $30 for cut. Like it's not. I don't want to blast if his cut prices have changed, so don't quote me on that if you hear that. But I feel that that's a value because I'm really buying an art piece, and then we're having an interview for an hour, and it's a really good campaign. All right, this is my new stretch goal now. Look, this is a print, or whatever the case may be. And I've turned one into a cover for Voodoo 2. Actually, I'll show you guys right now. I just put it in a folder while we were talking. I put all my stuff in a folder. I don't know if you guys do that. Like I have folders of all my covers.
That seems like a good idea that an organized person might do.
Yeah,
that's
I have
way
one of
organized.
each. So when my family, so when I kill myself from eating too many cheeseburgers, they're gonna be like, "Hey." So he did that one like on a live, like just on a live stream.
Nice.
So we did it, and we've added it to part of my marketing campaign for that. But other than that, I wouldn't. But again, I'm getting something out of that value that I know.
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, hope somebody listens today and backs my project.
Yeah, it's different for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, I was just gonna say we kind of give out like an invite list, and I'll kind of talk about the inside baseball thing. Is what I say on it is like we're new. We're building an audience. We've got some great people to come in and comment. This isn't the place to come get new backers. This is the place for your backers to come interact with you and have a blast and create energy and meet some other cool creators.
Yes.
That's all I don't even promise it, but that's all I think that we're bringing. And hopefully, when volume 6 comes out, when expired 3, 4, 5 comes out, hopefully we've got 30, 40, 50 people watching. But no, podcasts are wonderful energy. They're there for your backers to see that you care. And if you get 6 more eyes on the project, that's great. Will and I's job is for you guys to have fun here, whether that happens or not,
Yeah.
And we don't know if we did that. I'm not sure.
No, you did. And there's intrinsic value to the idea of putting a face to the name. I think that so many comics creators struggle because the sad truth is that there are so many creators where if you search their name on YouTube, there's nothing from them. There's only videos of people critiquing them. And that sucks. I think that the comics industry is a bit too Twitter centric. So you'll have some creators who they have a decent enough name. But if you go to find out what they look like, what they sound like, who they are as a person, you're going to see only tweets of them, being mean on the internet, and you're going to see no videos, no sense of what it would be like to be around them in person. So I think that just the idea of building a body of work of podcasts that, someone could search my name on YouTube and see, a bunch of me. And that's very helpful, I think. And, there are some people who wouldn't like that person, and that's cool, but overall, I think it is helpful to have a bit more of you out there in this kind of platform.
So, Kevin, I heard this rumor that Pat Shand is an actual living human that makes comics.
It could be.
I have electronic proof, but nothing physical. I know Travis exists, but Will and Pat could be very, very, very good AI.
I could be a hologram, dude, like Tupac.
Dumb AI. Okay.
I believe Pat's a real person. I believe that he's using that age thing that they use in the Marvel movies to de-age him. He's like 89 years old.
Yeah, this is a deep fake right here.
There's too much wisdom. There's too much wisdom in his writing for his.
Right. So to be as young as he is.
Well,
I think Joey is inviting some people onto his very cool podcast. But put in the name. I know the other one, but I'm blanking on your deep dive one. We'll put it up.
I mean, Joey, I'm ready for it. Just looking at your picture, the microphone seems professional. You have a cool look to you. I'm ready for it, dude. Let's go.
Well, speaking about the ads and everything, I'm going to have to kind of quote Charlie Stickney a little bit because darn it, he knows so much, and it's usually right. Dang it! But when talking about Facebook ads or social ads, he basically said that the people that buy my book are on Kickstarter. I don't know if they're on Facebook. I don't know if they're on Twitter, but I know they're on Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I go to get my readers. And I'm like, that makes a tremendous amount of sense.
It's true.
Yeah, I've done Facebook ads. I am incredibly reserved. I will do like $5 a day, maybe $10 a day at the end of a campaign. The problem is Facebook, you're never sure that the stats that they're giving you are true stats.
Right.
But you got 7 days less in a campaign. You put $5 a day. That's $35. All right. Hopefully that $35 pays for itself. I did do a convention once, and people I talked to had seen. It was a kid's book too, which I had a lot of the same experience where it just didn't. It funded, and that's it. It funded and stopped, and it was kind of like it was a success, but I thought the book could have done better. I had Jessie Sharon, who was a wonderful artist, great person. She'd done great work. I was so proud of the book, and we kind of just hit the ceiling, and it was just that was it. We weren't doing anything in the next 3 weeks. But I did see people at a convention who had seen my book. They knew it existed. So I knew Facebook was showing people the book, but I didn't see the funding come back.
Yeah.
But I put $50 in. I don't recommend putting, unless you are somebody who understands marketing and knows what they're doing. If you know what you're doing, don't listen to me. But if you don't know what you're doing, put a couple bucks in, see how it works. But nothing that would change whether or not you're going to go get the extra large popcorn at the movie you're going to at the end of the week. Don't risk anything that isn't easy to throw away on ads or social media or anything like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, does anybody do TikTok?
Fuck yeah, dude.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. TikTok is the best. TikTok is, it is my biggest platform, by far. Yeah, I don't use it as much as I should, considering that, I've been trying to build my Twitter audience for like 10 years, Facebook for longer, and TikTok I've been building for the past 9 months, and it's eclipsed those already by far. Yeah, I think that anyone who isn't on there should be on there. It's, the truth is that mostly I get on there. I talk about comics sometimes. Mostly I'll get on there and open Pokemon cards. And yeah, it's a very nice, casual platform. It is, it's more in touch with the youth, but it isn't this, exclusively young platform that some creators think it is. I think that it has staying power. I think that it's more important for us than Twitter is. And as Facebook becomes, I hate to say it because it's my most useful as far as my writing goes platform. I think that as Facebook kind of gets phased out in the years to come, that TikTok is where it's at.
Cool.
That's interesting. I was at a very tiny con here in my hometown, and one of my daughter's dance friends. My daughter's 12, so I recognized her mom and her coming up, and she saw my book, and I was like, "Well, I mean, I don't know if you'd be interested." Blah blah blah. Yeah, it's a little old for her, and she goes, "I think I saw this on TikTok," and I was like, "All right, seriously, you have to do me a favor. If you see this on TikTok, you have to take a screenshot.
Yes.
You have to text it to your mom, and she has to text it to my wife, who will text it to me. I need to know because I'm not on it, but that is cool. It could have been like Tarta's the worst book I've ever read. I don't care because my daughter's friend saw it on TikTok.
Honestly, in all likelihood, it's probably a video of someone twerking next to the book. Because that's what TikTok is, you know?
That's okay. I'll take it.
I don't use TikTok at all, but are you seeing results on your campaign? Are you seeing referrals from there? From link referrals?
Oh, no. I mean, it's hard to say because I never look at referrals anymore. So I don't really know. And I've never really pushed a book hard on TikTok. I've tried to build the idea of follow Pat Shand on TikTok rather than, I've talked about the books in general. Like, I'll tell stories about my past. Like, I told a story recently about how I worked from Alan Moore's outline on Crossed. That did well. Stuff that I'll talk about, that's, less exciting, but that I think is going to be cool. We'll get like no views. And then my biggest comic book TikTok is when I roasted someone, some people just love the drama, it was such an off-the-cuff moment for me. I had no idea that it was going to do numbers, but I did this one video because what I would love to do is I would love to have my work on Kickstarter and have every platform on social be just me fucking around. Like, I don't want to promote, I just want to mess around. So I did this one video on TikTok where I was, doing impressions and lightly poking fun at people, the big Pokemon card openers like Leonhardt and stuff. And I was doing funny voices, et cetera, and some guy comments, aren't you a little old for this? So I and it's so petty, but I'm a fucking petty king, dude. What I did was I took my phone and I did a little jingle. I recorded my 2 shelves of my work of my graphic novels stacked, okay? And I said I wrote every single one of these books from the shelf, you bitch. How about you? And that 7-second TikTok did tens and tens of thousands of views and had so many comments and interactions. Oh, what do you write? What's this book? And I was like, oh wow, dude. That's I put nothing into that shit. I put nothing into it. I was just it was like a clap back, and it was my biggest TikTok ever. And it's a weird platform. It's if you want to feed into the drama, oh dude, you should take your fight with Marcel over there.
He's over there, so I'm just fighting with myself.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could find someone new to fight with over there, Pat. Just I don't think you know who I am.
It was a very entertaining exchange. I will give you that for sure. It was yeah, I mean, I think that both of you have interesting things to say, and not to talk about it when he isn't here or anything, but it's just, it was a very interesting conversation that I think that, it's something that could happen between a small publisher and a creator on Kickstarter. And I think that, I wish that he would want to talk to you on a podcast that I host. Maybe the two of you can wear some boxing gloves, go shirtless, it would be great. It would be great.
I'm ready. Like I said, I have never had a problem with talking about anyone who wants to talk about it. But at the end of the day, and what I say and stuff, he is trying to fix it.
Yeah.
But my frustration is just because you're fixing mine doesn't mean you don't have another 7 that are the same problem.
Yeah.
I'm just loud.
I find both of you to be very interesting and engaging guys, and that shit would be so fun.
Will and I don't do a lot of drama, so yeah. But I bet Joey,
you shut up, man.
I bet Joey would love to host it if you guys need a spot. Will and I are all about the positivity and the kumbaya. But you know what I also say is, I might keep things quiet. I might only tell Will where my petty meter is, and I might have told him a few things, but I do respect people who are more outwardly honest, and I get it, and I appreciate that too. I respect it. I just kind of like that. It ain't me personally. I'm more of a block and never deal with somebody again because I don't have the fucking energy. But God bless you if you do.
Well, and I think that's a key thing to point out too. I am very social aware of like where my line is, even though it doesn't seem like I am. Like I push those buttons, but I really do know. Like, all right, I've stepped too far because I've stepped too far in my life enough times to know where that line is of where like this is getting too real, and you've got to keep that like. But I also feel creators that I gravitate to, the ones that I love, are the realest as they can be. They're trying to be as upfront and authentic as they can be in their life, and those are the creators that attract me. And if I want to attract people who I like, you know, in that thing, I have to semi be like that, you know, within my realm.
Yeah, it's I also love creators who keep it real. Like oh man, I have to look up his last name because I feel like an asshole right now. Patrick Kinlan, dude. Patrick Kinlan from Black Men. He writes this newsletter. This newsletter is it's like that Tupac line. This is the realest shit I ever wrote, and every newsletter is the realest shit he ever wrote, and it's so good. And you know, just the balls on him. I love it. But while I like to, you know, poke the bear and comment on things that I don't like, the truth is that what I feel inside when I start to get into conversations that may be a bit, you know, back and forth, I don't like how it feels. I feel this this acidic Irish rage, you know. Like my wallpaper, my background on Facebook is Tony Soprano. The moment when he realizes that that the Chinese restaurant has forgotten the goddamn motherfucking orange peel beef, and that's like kind of where I'm always on the cusp of goddamn motherfucking orange peel beef, and I really it feels physically bad to go there, but you know, yeah, I feel a rage, dude. I feel a rage, and I try to like not get into certain conversations and certain things because I don't want to like, you know, stoke the rage, but I feel a rage. I mean, I'm a red guy. Okay.
I wanna offer Joey this idea, and I want to offer him one or two of these options, and I want to offer you this title.
That's good.
I don't know if he'll take it, but if he does, it's free of charge for giving us a home at the Geek Collective.
I like that. I like that.
Oh, hey, Kevin, Pat, he shared his TikTok handle in our private chat. We'll share that publicly, if that's all right, Pat.
Go for it, please. Yeah, go for it.
Is this also your Twitter or just TikTok?
That's everything. Yeah, that's
everything.
Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Is it Facebook too? Who even knows how Facebook does their shit?
No one knows.
No one.
Yeah, you can follow Pat Shand on all the social medias at Pat Shand.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with that?
You know what's funny is that people who don't know me read it and think that I'm saying Pat's hand. But Nah,
And Travis, do we have your socials as well, so we can share those?
I don't participate in social media.
No, never. Too many fights. Too many fights for him. He's not in it.
Not true. I actually have been very good for a long time, but sometimes I get frustrated with people.
How do you feel that? Like, how do you feel when you're in the midst of that? Like of that back and forth, that debate. Do you feel tense? Does it feel good? How does that feel?
It depends on the day. Like doing right by someone is so passionate to me that like it's insane to me when people do not do what's right. Like it's just so and that, so I feel very justified. But it's really funny when someone, like, because I'll always turn the corner if someone private messages me. Like, I'd be like, well, he's trying. Like, but on the war, I'm like, like, you'll go. Because I want him to know, like, you're not pulling the wool over my eyes. Like, and you're not pulling the wool over people's eyes. And it's not that I think that people should not back him or any of that. And I've even said this publicly, like, he's done very well on making sure. But if someone's priority is not to take care of people he's actively admits that he's done wrong to, where's his line? How long until like that happens? So that frustrates me, and it gets frustrated me, and he gets me on the wrong night and comes at me.
Well, I'm gonna cut in and speak in generalities.
Yeah.
It seems that some people, we talked about learning from your mistakes. If someone is learning from their mistakes, I think that's great, and I think you should forgive people and let them live their lives. But if they don't seem to be learning from their mistakes, I don't think you should. In general.
Yeah, I just feel in this particular situation, it's just hidden better, right? Like it's not that case, and I want to protect this platform, like a real. What someone who does bad on this platform, and this is anybody, not just my case, anybody who does wrong, like actively wrong. And there's tons of campaigns, if you search, of people who've never got things and they've been ghosted and never got anything. There was first-time backers who will never, ever back anything again because someone did them wrong, because people hold grudges. People love the drama.
The entire local comic shop community was burned by comic Kickstarter in 2012, 2013. Yeah. And we are fighting that still because of what people did 10 years ago, and that is so true.
It's very true. And it's sad because it's an example of someone not giving leeway to the smaller guy when they give so much more to the biggest of fishes.
Right.
And what a mixed metaphor. We're talking guys and fish, But for example,
fish guys, I'm with you.
Yeah, dude. Like I'll see.
You're like our Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So like Star Wars Episode 1, the bigger fish scenario.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, I'll see people say things like, "Oh, I was burned on 3 Kickstarters. I'm never backing any Kickstarters again." It's like, dude, how many times have you loved a Marvel comic and the shit just stopped coming out? Like, that's Disney. But you'll still read Iron Man. But if some guy burns you, you'll not back some other guy who has nothing to do with that shit? That's crazy to me.
Yeah. Is that a cat in the background? Or okay, I thought maybe you had an emu. And it might be the whiskey, but I was a little weird.
Oddly specific emu. Oddly specific. Very oddly specific.
He or her, and what's the name?
This is my daughter, Chi Chi.
Oh, nice. My son's in bed. My son goes to sleep. He doesn't stay up this late. He's Harpo barks.
Otis is sacked out over on the couch. He's our basset hound.
Yeah. He's like your uncle, though. He's so old he can't be your son.
She gets worried when she hears me talking alone. She she does check on me for certain things. Like, for example, if I'm laughing loudly, she'll come over to me and start to bite my hair because she thinks that something's happening to me,
Joey, I think you're exactly right. I do believe I can only speak comics because I don't pay attention to other subjects, but I have had so few comics late recently, much less just disappear. That 2015 to 2017 range, there were a lot of people who were trying their best and didn't know what they were doing and gave up. There were complete and utter con artists who were just there to steal money. Yeah. But I think that they've been churned out. And I do think that partially the pandemic brought people, partially the Berserker campaign, the Scott Snyder campaign. I think a lot of people were brought to Kickstarter that never thought about it before. But I think that people are delivering in a way where delivering is the goal of creators now, whereas getting the money was the goal before. And I'm proud to be part of the Kickstarter community now. I really am.
Yeah, look at the success rate, man. Comics is the most successful category on Kickstarter. Is that right? I mean,
it's sometimes theater. It depends on the year or month. But yeah, it's either us or theater.
It's like 60% of the projects get funded. 55. I can't remember what the exact numbers were.
It's got to be in the 70s.
Don't trust my math.
Yeah. It's like this too. I think that backers have, over time, we adapt to things. Backers have, in a way, been trained to appreciate creators who, even if things are running late, because it's comics, there are so many moving parts that all they want is clear, consistent updates. Now, the Kickstarter shouldn't have that thing where the backer can nudge you at any point and you have a big red thing up on top. Oh yeah, one backer wants an update. That to me is kind of crazy because, for example, what I do is monthly updates. People who read my updates know that I'm going to have a July update, an August update, and so on. But also 3 days into a new month, I will have a big red bar. 2 backers want an update. It's like, bro, we are 2 days in. You might have 28 more of these motherfuckers to go. So chill. But yeah, I think that as long as you're communicative, as long as you're clear, and as long as when you have a problem, you just explain what it is, who's going to have a major problem with that? I think that anyone who does is probably unreasonable. Like, I funded Smoke Weeds to the Future in May. Or maybe it was, in May. And in June, I got a message from someone saying, can I get a refund because the book is late? And I was like, what are they talking about? So I thought I must have made a mistake on the delivery date. And I looked and no, it says February 2022 for the digital, May 2022 for the book. And I replied, I was like, no, I mean, it's not late by like a year. Like, we still have a year until it delivers. And he goes, oh, can I have a refund anyway? It's like, people who complain about that kind of stuff, we're going to always complain.
Yeah.
I think that there's a difference between that kind of customer who kind of like is looking for something to be mad about or like something to have a way out, and someone who is, a genuine reader who wants to read the book. They don't want to be angry with you,
Yeah. I had a digital backer once. I had to laugh so I didn't cry. She did not put her survey in for 8 months.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm excited.
And I got a message a week after she put her survey in saying, I didn't get my digital things, give me my money back.
Oh,
Well, it was a backer kit survey, which you automatically gives you digital content. But I don't check. 8 months into a survey, guess what? If it's physical, you'll get it when I check. Every couple months, I'll look in. There's 3 people. Okay, all right, you finally did it. I'll send it to you, but I'm not in a hurry. 8 months later, but she said, I want my money back, and I was like, just take your $12. I mean, what?
Yeah, that kind of thing is unreasonable, and thankfully, I find it to be uncommon. What kind of sucks now, though, is how Kickstarter has this thing where backer reports expire. So, those, 7 backers who never did their backer report for my book Afterglow, for instance, you are asked out, dude. Like, that's done. But that was also 3 years ago. So,
yeah, I have a box. I have a box in my storage room with just like envelopes with books that I know are never actually going to get to their home, but
yeah.
I don't have the heart to take them out and put them back in regular storage. I probably should, but
those people are probably dead, to be honest. That's why I think a lot. I'm like, damn, this person is probably deceased, because
can I ask? Has I have had one backer pass away. Has this happened to anyone else? Like that, 100%.
No, not that I know of.
Not that I know of.
We had a backer who was the sweetest. I mean, I'm a little bit into my whiskey, but I would cry with the story straight sober. She lived in New York, and she would come up New York Comic Con, and she would pick her. She didn't make me mail it; she'd just pick it up. And 2 years in a row, we met her. Oh, so smart, so sweet, just great. I didn't realize she was one of our backers, and I asked her if I could take a photo of her shirt. Her shirt was, I am a token. Oh, God damn it. It was a Hobbit joke about being a token character. Mm-hmm. I'm a token character in The Hobbit, and I can't remember the joke, but I laughed my ass off. And then she said, I'm her name, and I said, oh my God, oh. So I gave her the books, and the next year, and I still am so mad at myself. I was going to see her in October. So we got the books in like September or August. And I emailed her, hey, can I just give them to you? Yeah, I'll see you. So New York Comic Con comes by, and she never stops by. And I was like, like busy, lost her tickets, whatever. And I sent an email. And finally, I just went back to her old address and sent it off. And I got a postcard from her mom. She had a surgery, and 3 days later, she had a blood clot.
Damn.
And
Jesus.
she just gone. And I put out an update to my backers, and I told the story. And the reason I told the story is I wanted them to know. And I swear to God, I'd cry if I wasn't a little bit into the whiskey. So it is the whiskey, but it's also when you back a campaign and you tell the 4 of us that our work means enough for you to pay us before it even exists. There's nothing more special. Well, there's a lot of things in this world that are special. It is one of the more special things that you come to us and tell us that our dreams, our goals, our stories mean something to you. And I was so devastated. I went outside to the pool, and I told her all of Tart's story. I told her what our series is. Right now, our editors, Ludo and me, know how Tart ends. And one backer. And it's like, if you're still listening to this and you're backing campaigns, I want you to know how fucking important you are. You are like jet fuel to us to make our books. So thank you. Don't die.
Please
Yeah,
don't.
please.
You know, like I'm sorry to bring it down, but it's like I had one backer pass away, and it was devastating. And I hope I go before any of our backers.
Yeah, that kind of thing is so emotional. It's true. It's, you know, you do get to know readers over time. I haven't had any backers that way, but I have had someone, you know, back when I was working for Zenoscope, they have a lot of fans who are really ingrained in the fan base and become fans of every writer. And a few guys through that have died that I've known, and it's been emotionally impactful. It's a, you know, we always expect to have relationships with, you know, family, with, you know, our spouses, friends. That those are relationships that we can understand. But the relationship between, you know, creator and reader is, you know, it's so varied and different. It's a very unique experience. So that kind of thing is super sad. On the other hand, too, sometimes I wonder, like, you know, I wonder this even walking down the street, seeing random people. But I do wonder sometimes, like, looking at my backers over time, like, how many of my backers have killed someone? You know, could be some murderers out here.
I just think Travis Gibb, the only one that I think is. I shouldn't use the real name of the backer, but
Yes, I know the whole story of Tart. This was a very month-long thing that I had to plan. I had to go to New York, hire an actress.
If you pass away, if you pass away, I'll tell you, and if you kill, I will not. That's the type of shit that gets taken out of context.
But we all have special backers, though, that this stuff means so much to them. And it, like, even me, like, there's a guy who loves Brokedown. He's just like, you don't know how special that book is to me. I was like, it's a crime book, you know, like, where it's you know, there's not a lot of deep, you know, I say a lot of jokes, like, there's some deeper meanings, but like, they're really subtle. And you're an issue 2, so you don't know them. Like,
but yeah, if it works for that reader,
but it resonates with them. It brings them back to, you know, when he was a kid. You know, when I finally asked him about it, he's like, you remember all the it wasn't Pulp Fiction, but it was all the rip-off movies that were like Pulp Fiction. He would go to Blockbuster and rent them on the weekly because he just loved Pulp Fiction so much. So this brings him back because those don't exist anymore. We've moved on. You know, Sopranos came out and we needed to be smarter and a little bit more intelligent with our crime, you know. You know, and Guy Ritchie started doing friggin' Aladdin and Sherlock Holmes movies and forgot that he did crime really well. Except for The Gentleman. If you haven't seen The Gentleman, it's a fantastic movie. Everyone should watch it. It's probably his best work.
Well, I'm not going to cut anybody else off except it's 1:30. I told you guys I would let you out about midnight. And I appreciate it. This has been great. I had a blast. I hope you had 25% as much fun as I did, because then I know you're going to be happy you did it. Pat, Travis, give us 30 seconds. We'll do Travis first. Give us 30 seconds on your campaign, so people who, if you've stuck with us this long, I know you've had fun, but we are here to also shine a light on good Kickstarter campaigns. So Travis, take us home with Expired.
Sure, yeah. Expired is a story of a world where there's only like 7 islands, kind of like Hawaii. And on that world, oxygen is given to each person when they're born, and it's kind of a class system. So some people have more than others. And it's a story about these adventurers that want to kind of change that dynamic, change that world and what that looks like. So it's a 4-issue miniseries. This is the first one in that. Hopefully you like it.
Awesome.
Very encouraging.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You're good.
Okay, Pat, let's I'll stop that and let's get into your art book and 5th year anniversary celebration.
Let's do it. Destiny New York is the story of a girl who had a prophecy made about her when she was young. She completes her destiny when she's just 13. Now she's entering her 30s, trying to figure out life after Destiny. It is a romance at heart. You know, she She falls in love with the last surviving member of a mystical crime family. It's been described as Harry Potter meets The Sopranos. And you can get every one of the books through the campaign. The art book is a celebration of the past 5 years. But if you are new to the series, you can get any of my past Kickstarter projects, including all of Destiny New York, through this bad bitch right here.
Awesome. Gentlemen, I appreciate it. We usually sit back and talk about some of the campaigns that have come before, but it's 2.5 hours in. So I'm going to say Brian Hawkins, oh God, I lost it. The Lunatic, the Lover, and the Poet, I believe. Black Market Heroine from Russell Nohelty. Pipe Creepers is done, dude. We talked about that at the very beginning, and it ended with I didn't share the screen, but I see the fireworks. So they did it, Destiny New York. And next week I will share this very quickly before we go. Next week we are going to have Calamia and Phil Falco. They're going to be talking about their Bi Visibility, a bisexual anthology book. They have been working their butts off on this. They've got 725 backers, $17,000 in funding. I want them to hit 1,000 before the end because they have just been working so hard on this book. We're going to talk to them next week, and I know that because we had to reschedule. And I'm really happy we did because we got to talk to Travis and Pat much more in depth, and we'll talk to Kat and Phil next week. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Before we go, though, Miskatonic High.
Oh, yeah, they're still running, aren't they?
Yeah, they're until the 23rd. So the Miskatonic High number 12 and the complete Lovecraft PI Miskatonic High crossover is going to finish on September 23rd. Tales from the Collective finishes up tomorrow, I believe.
Oh, Travis, you're part of that, right?
Yeah. My Voodoo book is in there. You can get a 4-page story in there, but it's a really good book for a real good comic store. I recommend if you're a comic creator and you're watching this, and you've really got something from it, consider backing it just to see what they're doing, because that store is very indie friendly. It's a good store to get into if you don't have a direct market solution.
Yeah,
and the last one would be the OZ. Number 2.
Yeah, David Pepos is a wonderful, wonderful book. It's struggling. The OZ is struggling.
It's so sad.
We're going to try to give it the explain yourself bump so that they can get over the hump, but it's doing gangbusters, and it's a wonderful book. And so, guys, gentlemen, I really appreciate it. I had a blast tonight.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Anytime.
Good night.